Well, good evening from London. Welcome to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Today, Harry and Meghan torch what little was left of their relationship with the royal family and what little was left, frankly, of their own reputations. Last week was mostly sycophantic.
Nobody expected a 4-year-old's birthday to ignite the fiercest royal backlash since Megxit. Yet that is exactly what happened the moment Harry and Meghan strolled into Disneyland. One smiling family photo, faces helpfully blurred, angles suspiciously perfect, triggered a chain reaction that now threatens their last shreds of public goodwill, rattles palace walls in London, and thrusts an old nemesis, Piers Morgan, back into the spotlight. This is the tale of how a single picture-perfect day became the Sussexes' most disastrous PR own goal to date.
Old revelations with a new twist. As it turns out, we've apparently been wrong all along. Britain is a nasty, racist hellhole where only magnificent Meghan stood up to all this and the world.
Exposing a pattern of calculated, performative privacy and pushing the monarchy toward an unprecedented break. The date was June 4th, 2025, Southern California's sun-baked Main Street, USA, as Prince Harry steered a rented stroller past Mickey-eared tourists. Meghan walked beside him in crisp white linen, phone discreetly tilted downward. Archie, now 6, clutched a churro. Little Lilibet Diana wore a sparkly pink dress that will surely soar on Etsy by morning. Ordinary? Hardly. Observers noticed the telltale signs of a staged shoot, a 4-person security bubble, an iPhone on a gimbal, and strangers angling DSLR lenses like extras hitting their marks. Disneyland offers VIP routes that shield celebrities from gawkers, but the Sussexes skipped them, choosing the most photographed corners of the park instead. Within hours, Disney Sussex hashtag trended worldwide. Reddit sleuths compared crowdsourced footage. The family paused at identical spots, Sleeping Beauty Castle, Adventureland Arch, the Partners statue, framing each shot the way a magazine would storyboard a cover feature. Even friendly outlets called the outing.
No, the world's biggest victims right now are the Duke and Duchess of Netflix. And don't take my word for it.
This promise of once you're married,
Eerily flawless. Yet flawless optics can crack faster than a sugar-spun churro shell. And one man was ready with a hammer. At 9:21 a.m. Pacific, media provocateur Piers Morgan tapped post. A single sentence and a screenshot of the Disneyland photos rocketed across X. Celebs who parade their kids for likes, then blur their faces to pretend they care about privacy, make me chuckle. We see you. The numbers were brutal. 1.2 million views in the first 6 hours. 90,000 quote tweets. Podcasts dissecting every syllable.
The first 3 hours of this Netflix series paint a very different, far uglier picture of this country and our royal family.
Morgan doubled down that evening on Piers Morgan Uncensored, branding the trip brand-polishing theater and dubbing the couple the Duke and Duchess of Netflix. His rant struck a nerve because it distilled a mounting public irritation. Harry and Meghan's curated candor. They sue tabloids for intrusion, yet invite paparazzi when the narrative needs a refresh. They champion mental health privacy, then monetize every therapy session in memoirs and 6-part docuseries. The Disneyland stroll fit that pattern like a glass slipper, and Morgan's audience loved watching it shatter. Outrage alone doesn't scare Team Sussex, but the threat of another courtroom showdown does. Within 48 hours, anonymous friends of the couple whispered to entertainment pages that all options are on the table, including defamation claims against Morgan's network. It would not be their first lawsuit. They previously went after tabloid photographers, Britain's Home Office, and even a small YouTube commentator. Every time, headlines swelled, legal fees soared, and the perception that Harry and Meghan weaponized litigation to muzzle critics grew harder to shrug off. This perspective clash promises even uglier discovery. Emails, call sheets, maybe the very tip sheets sent to Disneyland photographers. Morgan smells blood. He taunts them nightly.
This series, and they'll believe it. They'll believe the smears about Britain and our monarchy, that we're a bunch of bigoted and hateful people. They even blamed Brexit for the racism which apparently was aimed at Meghan Markle, which is just completely absurd. But by far the most sickening part of this show for me was the constant use of Harry's
daring them to file. In the court of public opinion, a venue the Sussexes once dominated, they now risk a verdict of serial silencer, a label no modern influencer brand survives. As attorneys sharpen pencils in California, 5,000 miles east, another power center debates an even harsher sanction. Enough. That single word reportedly summarizes Prince William's mood, according to the Times leak of his royal succession blueprint. The document sketches scenarios for stripping Harry and Meghan of remaining titles once William ascends. For King Charles, the Disneyland debacle landed days before Trooping the Color, the sovereign's birthday parade. Courtiers believe the timing was no accident, interpreting it as a transatlantic attempt to hijack column inches that traditionally celebrate the monarch. Sources told Telegraph columnists the king was mortified. Behind Windsor walls, the family sees a pattern: use royal kids' milestones to promote Sussex projects, then trash the crown's archaic rules when convenient. Stripping HRH styles, once unthinkable, is now openly discussed, not just for Harry and Meghan, but, shockingly, for Archie and Lilibet too. But why would the Sussexes court such high-stakes backlash in the first place? The answer lies in Santa Barbara's quiet hills, where a jam jar isn't selling.
It's about an hour-long cab ride. Never seen his grandchildren. This show is packed with the kind of spurious claims and hypocrisy that have become the Sussex signature. We learned they began making videos about their heroic journey 6 months before their Netflix deal was even announced, and right at the start of a pandemic that was...
American Riviera Orchard, Meghan's lifestyle line of silk headscarves, botanical candles, and $13.90 fruit spread, was meant to be her Gwyneth-style empire. Instead, botched trademarks, FDA quibbles, and months-late restocks have turned it into a punchline. Her new podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder, debuted April 8th, landed outside Apple's top 100 within 3 weeks, and sparked think pieces about brand wear-out. PR analysts speculate the Disneyland footage was a Hail Mary rebrand, Meghan as a relatable California mom, living her best life under Sleeping Beauty's spires. A million mommy bloggers do it daily. Why not a duchess? But social chatter called the attempt forced, calculated, relatability cosplay. The hoped-for cross-promotional bounce never came. Instead, Google Trends shows Arrow searches flatlining since the Disney day, which brings us to the core contradiction fueling every firestorm. Remember the tearful Oprah confession? We just wanted a quiet life. Minutes later, that same special aired exclusive footage of baby Archie chasing butterflies in the Sussex garden. The Netflix series repeated the formula.
If you excuse the massive book deals, the Silicon Valley startups, the preaching videos about well-being, the podcasts, the speeches, and the major network interviews with everyone from Oprah Winfrey to James Corden. But they've barely been seen or heard at all, have they? Well, on Thursday, they'll quietly and apologetically release their $100 million
weaving intimate iPhone clips through speeches on media abuse. The memoir Spare dedicated pages to toddler bath time anecdotes, then decried invasions of family space. The Disneyland controversy is simply the latest chapter in a well-worn pattern. Public reveal of the children to reset the Sussex story. Immediate claims of stolen privacy once criticism surfaces. Legal threats to silence dissent. Even sympathetic columnists concede the hypocrisy is now beyond parody. And hypocrisy, like interest, compounds, eventually demanding payment. Pollsters note a steep slide in U.S. favorability, from 58% positive in early 2023 to just 29% after the Disneyland drama. Brand finance analysts estimate Archie's intangible halo value fell by $200 million in 12 months, jeopardizing future Netflix or Spotify renewals. Inside Buckingham Palace, aides draft contingency papers, title suspension, patronage removal, even a possible rerouting of Duchy of Cornwall funds that still trickle to Harry. Meanwhile, Morgan's producers prepare a primetime special, promising unseen emails linking a hired LA photo agency to the Sussex team, a revelation that could detonate any courtroom gamble. Nobody emerges unscathed if this proceeds. Harry faces permanent royal exile.
Before we even get to the main event.
When the stakes are this high, doesn't it make more sense to hear our story from us?
Oh, shut up. What do you mean the stakes are this high? Who do you think you are? Other than a latte-munching imbecile.
Meghan risks her brand becoming toxic to advertisers. The children become pawns in a narrative war neither side can fully control. The monarchy gambles its modern image on a decisive, perhaps ruthless response. And that leads us to a final, inescapable question. Fairy tales thrive on controlled stories. Heroes, villains, happily ever after. But 21st century audiences hold those stories lightly, ready to flip channels when the script feels fake. If a single Disneyland birthday stroll can unravel years of carefully curated authenticity, what does that say about the foundation beneath? Every blurred face photo, every lawsuit threat, Every "we value privacy" pledge followed by glossy reveal erodes trust. Brands live or die on trust. So does royalty. As palace lawyers weigh title removals and Piers Morgan sharpens his monologues, one reality crystallizes. A reputation built on controlled narratives will not survive once the audience stops believing the story. Harry and Meghan once promised to create a life of service, compassion, and authenticity. Today, that promise teeters on the edge of a selfie stick in Disneyland. If they cannot realign words and actions, the next birthday photo may capture not a family holiday but the precise moment a modern fairy tale slipped permanently into cautionary tale territory. Will they pivot before the credits roll, or will the happiest place on earth mark the unhappiest turning point in their saga? The world is watching, cameras ready, no blur filter strong enough to hide the answer.